my name is Chris. I'm one of the group members of my group leader Shaylin's group. And yes, I am wearing my Santa hat just because I felt in a festive spirit and it's almost Christmas. And also, Christmas is my favorite holiday, so yeah. Anyways, the group members are me, Charlie, Sebas, Juliet, and Shaylin. And today we're going to present Should the Electoral College be abolished? But first, I'm going to tell you the definition and the history of Electoral College. So, here we go. So in the year 2000, a nominee named Al Gore has more votes than George W. Bush. But unfortunately, George W. Bush won the election just because there's a method called Electoral College. And Electoral College is an outdated method that has been there for so long. So it's a process where each of the state senators and representatives get one vote, also known as the electoral vote. If one side of the state gets more popular vote than the other, then the electoral vote goes towards the candidate that won the popular vote. In 1787, the Constitutional Convention decided that we needed a leader for the executive branch. And the delegates, also known as the people who represent the country, as known as the United States, did not believe that the leader should be voted by popularity. The Electoral College needs to be abolished because it seems unfair for other people who are not the senators or representatives to vote, even though it will not count.
Firstly, the Electoral College should be abolished because there is a large flaw in the electoral system, where smaller states tend to be worth less than regular states. According to Document D, 13 states in the U.S. add up to a total of 44 electoral votes. 44 is a small number compared to the 270 it takes to win it all. This shows that these states show little to no importance to when the candidate is running for president. Candidates only then have to visit larger population states to gain them rather than get their point of view from the smaller states. And it is doubtful that they will visit smaller states because often all small states are one-sided, either this side or that side. On Document D, it also said that the population of 13 states were compared to Illinois. They had a similar population, but Illinois was only worth 20 electoral points when the 13 states added up equal 44 electoral votes. This indicates that there's a small flaw in the system. They have the same population as Illinois added up, so they both should have the same amount of electoral votes, although they do not, meaning that these states have such low populations, their votes are just estimated. That doesn't sound fair, how these states have the same population but are worth different totals. On the other hand, you can say that these small states all added up together are worth a lot to one candidate. Although it is unlikely for these states to vote for the same candidate, many of them are one-sided. They will vote for the same side every year. It's unlikely for them to change, meaning these estimated electoral votes are worth more than the actual amount per vote for all other states.
So to begin with, Electoral College should be abolished because it doesn't treat all U.S. citizens equally, and according to Document C, electoral method of presidential selection is not the most efficient, and according to Mitchell McConnell, who imputed his positive opinions towards Electoral College in Document C, he said, "Every day when I wake up into my Senate office, I'm thankful for the complicities and the efficiencies that have been contributed to the freedom and prosperity we know in America. However, couldn't have this been prevented and just never experienced? If is so good, then it shouldn't come across the errors in ways considering America is supposed to be one of the advanced countries in the world. And also, according to other articles, it turns presidential election into massive efforts to win votes of a small number of voters in a few key states rather than the support of the American people as a whole, and it may never have been functioned as intended. And in document B, electoral college votes and the popular votes tend to correspond with each other, and it's rare for it not to favor the public wishes. Other articles shows that there are over 300 million people in the United States, but just 538 electoral votes who can decide who will be the president. And such as in 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular votes by more than 1 million, but still lost the election in the electoral votes. And that really shows you why we don't really need electoral college votes.
The Electoral College system should be abolished because it can unmotivate people to vote. According to document A, each state in the United States has a certain amount of electoral votes based on population and size. A presidential candidate who wins the most popular vote in the state wins all the electoral votes. This means that a president that has the least amount of individual votes could be elected because electoral votes are the only votes that count towards a presidential election. The electoral votes defeat the purpose of popular vote. For example, if the presidential candidate had a large lead, voters in that state would be unmotivated to vote, as there wouldn't be a purpose. Even if the lead is narrow, the result wouldn't change. This also leads to the presidential candidate ignoring states where they have large leads. They are more likely to visit the states where elections are close.
The Electoral College was created during a time where access to education was scarce, making the leaders of the country decide what is best for the people. Only rich white men were allowed to vote. As new reforms occurred, the accessibility of education had increased, and so the diversity of the people who can vote. Every election, the winner of the election correlates with whoever wins the popular vote, with some exceptions. Whenever there is a tie in the election, it is taken upon the House of Representatives to decide. Each state gets one vote, and according to document F, a concern is brought forth due to the differences in representation of voters. For example, Wyoming's one vote represents 500,000 votes, compared to California being 35 million. The large dips in numbers brings forth an imbalance, making it possible for the people to get the opposite of what they voted for. In document G, a single fact stands that the popular vote lost their elections. Although the people chose one candidate, the Electoral College said otherwise. This flaw leaves people in anguish over the new president, who the large majority did not vote for. The Electoral College should be abolished, leaving only the popular vote or a new system to replace it.